Before we get started, please go over to Amazon.com and grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African-American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. Some of the African-American people who voted for Trump, they did so because of the bag. Many of them expressed that money circulated better when Trump was in office the first time. Some of them liked the fact that, in their minds, Trump had sent stimulus checks. So they thought that re-electing him would help them financially, economically. They also voted for him because there was disinformation out there about inflation. Biden brought inflation way down. Inflation skyrocketed because of COVID, because of Trump's handling of COVID. Biden brought it down. Prices were really high, I have to admit that, but he got it way down and then handed that economy to Trump. And one of the things that Trump promised was that he would get prices down on day one. Well, I read just this morning that the price of eggs has increased. But even worse than that, once Trump began to release a barrage of executive orders targeting DEI, African Americans will lose billions of dollars. So not only are there no more checks coming, but now African Americans will lose a lot of money because of Trump's war on DEI. Another thing that's floating out there is that DEI programs, or the elimination of DEI programs, will not really hurt African Americans because the programs were really more targeted toward white women and or the LGBTQ+. And so DEI really wasn't for blacks, is what a lot of folks are saying, and blacks will not be impacted by the loss of DEI. Well, just on an anecdotal level, we have seen folks like Tabitha Brown come out and say, no, by Target eliminating its DEI program, and blacks now targeting Target with a boycott is going to hurt her business as an African-American woman. And I've seen several other African-American business people who do business with Target say the same thing. So just those anecdotes show that Trump pressuring Target to end its program will impact African-American businesses, which results in money loss. Hello, everyone. I got great news. The merch is finally here. We've been waiting and waiting, but we can finally begin branding our channel. But we need your help to get our brand out there. If you like what we provide and like what you see, please go to the channel and grab your hoodie, your t-shirt, your mug, and we got more designs and products on the way. Just visit our YouTube channel at the Defiant Lawyers Network. Also, we will donate a portion of each dollar you spend on our merch towards some nonprofit. And remember, as always, stay woke. All right, so I want to take you to a couple of articles, and you will see, I'm going to show you from these articles, that African-American people stand to lose billions of dollars from Trump's war on DEI. Let's go to another screen. Now, here's one of the commenters on our channel. She said, very respectfully, I really appreciate the respect that she showed in her comment. And most of you are respectful. Thank you so very much. Some of the ones that are not, the moderators know exactly what to do with those kind of folks. But anyway, she wrote a really long comment about how she felt she was mistreated because she followed policy regarding the LGBTQ plus community, and she was reprimanded, maybe even terminated from her job. I think she was terminated. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I want to read this part because she's one of the ones who believe that DEI is not really about racial equality and more about, in fact, she writes here, DEI was less about racial equality and more about gender and transgender bullying, which is why I will not miss it. Just my opinion. Well, we do certainly appreciate her opinion, but we're going to look at several articles here which shows that her opinion is not exactly on point. All right. So let's go to the first article. And this article here has to do with Target's diversity program. It was a really good diversity program, actually. And there are a couple of things I want you to see from this article. Target releases workforce diversity report, plans to increase representation of Black team members across the company by 20% over 3 years. I want you to see that this targets Blacks. Target specifically targeted Blacks, not just LGBTQ plus, not just white women, but Target's program, its DEI program, specifically targeted Black people. Minneapolis, September 10, 2020. This is just a couple of months after George Floyd's lynching. As part of its long-standing commitment to creating a culture that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive, Target today released a detailed racial and gender breakdown of its team across all levels of the organization. Along with issuing the report, Target also announced plans to increase representation of Black team members across the country by 20% over the next 3 years by sharpening its focus on advancement, retention, and hiring. Now notice it doesn't say people of color. It doesn't say minorities. It says Blacks, specifically Blacks. So this goes to show that not all DEI programs were generic and referred to people of color or minorities, LGBTQ plus. Some of them were specifically trying to help Blacks. And as a matter of fact, that is where a lot of the beef comes from, right? Because there are a lot of folks in MAGA who are anti-Black. So that is the reason why they have been so fired up about ending DEI programs. This is basically white backlash. You know, white Americans, not all, but many. So let me say white America. That doesn't mean every white American, but white America for centuries has engaged in white backlash. Every time we made any progress, here comes white backlash. Right after Reconstruction, there was redemption, the redemption movement where whites unleashed Jim Crow, which was white backlash. Right after the Civil Rights Movement, here comes what? White backlash in the form of Ronald Reagan. Right after Obama's reelection, what comes? Trump, which again is more white backlash. So after George Floyd's death, where a lot of corporations, a lot of companies, the government, etc., implemented DEI programs, we're now suffering white backlash. Right? Now it's all about getting rid of the DEI programs. That's white backlash. It is intended to keep us in our place. And so Target here specifically targeted African American people. All right? There's some more here that I want to read. All right, let's go back to the article. All right, I have it highlighted here. It says, here's some of the things. They said to do this, the company is making a number of systemic changes, including systemic changes. That's a very good word because it means that they were changing their systems within their company to achieve their goal, listen to that, of increasing African Americans in their employment pool by 20%. So they said leveraging its stores, supply chain, HQ experiences to provide broader leadership pathways for Black team members to develop and advance. Very good. Developing programs to hire and retain Black team leaders in career areas with low levels of representation, including technology, data sciences, merchandising, and marketing. Very, very, very good. Increasing Target's network of mentors and sponsors to help Black team members accelerate and advance their careers. Ensuring Target's benefits and partnerships drive wellness and safety for Black team members. Notice it keeps saying Black, 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 Black. Not LGBTQ+, not people of color, not white women, Black. Conducting anti-racist trainings for leaders and team members that educate, build inclusion acumen, and foster a sense of belonging. Those are very, very positive DEI initiatives and goals. And this is not anecdotal. This is a nationwide company that was absolutely committed to its DEI program that targeted African American people. All right, I got another one here. Again, this is another Target article, and notice what it says. Target to spend more than $2 billion at Black-owned businesses. So it had a program set aside for Black employees of Target and Black businesses to the tune of $2 billion. All right, so let's look at this. All right, it says Target will spend a total of more than $2 billion at Black-owned businesses by 2025 as part of its effort to advance racial equity. That's a significant increase in overall spending on Black-owned businesses. Folks who have their products in Target store, to folks, Black folks who supply Target with various products, to construction companies, and so on. $2 billion. The Minneapolis retailer will add a broad spectrum of products from more than 500 Black-owned businesses and will increase its spending at more Black-owned companies from marketing to construction. It will also introduce new resources like a dedicated team to help Black-owned suppliers scale their businesses to work with mass chains. The Forward Founders Program builds off Target's Accelerator Program that helps entrepreneurs. So as we see here, Target was serious. It was serious about dealing with systemic racism that impacts negatively African Americans across this country. And again, it says, and I want you to see here, it says Target to spend more than $2 billion at Black-owned businesses, not LGBTQ plus businesses, not white women businesses, not Latino businesses, Black businesses. And again, that is what really, really tees off a lot of people in the first place. They don't want to see that. Although we own less than 3-4% of this nation's wealth, there are a lot of white people and other people who don't want to see African Americans rise. Every time we make progress, we will experience in this racist country white backlash. Every time. But bravo to Target, except for dropping this program and buckling to Trump's DEI war. Target, you were doing so well, and you allowed your company to get intimidated. You were doing so well. I told you a month or so ago, one company that has stood, and we should reward them, Costco. I saw Reverend Al Sharpton and a group of folks going into a Costco to shop there to make that point, as well as Apple and a few other companies. Target, you should not have done this. This would have been so powerful, and we would have supported you. All right? Now, one more. This doesn't have anything to do with Target. This has to do with federal contracting. You remember Trump rescinded an executive order issued by Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1965 to diversify federal contracting. African American businesses who does business with the federal government. I want to show you, and I showed you this already in a previous video, but I want you to see it again. How this war on DEI has and will cost African Americans billions. Contracts awarded to Black American-owned businesses. So we see fiscal year 2020, African Americans were able to receive over $9 billion in 2020. Got $1 billion from the Army, almost another $1 billion from the Air Force, on and on and on. That was 2020. In 2021, again, over $9 billion. 2022, over $9 billion. 2023, over $9 billion. And then 2024, a little bit over $1 billion. And now with these executive orders coming out, gutting DEI programs, Blacks will lose almost $10 billion in federal contracts. So, look, this does impact African American businesses. Anyone who tells you otherwise is misinforming you. And you know, the thing I love to do, and I'm trained to do as a lawyer, I bring receipts. I bring the facts. I do not make a bunch of statements without being able to authenticate those facts. When we are in trial, for example, one of the two things that we have to do before we can admit evidence is we have to authenticate what it is that we are trying to get admitted. And we also have to make sure it's not some hearsay document or so on. We have to authenticate it. I'm trained to do that. But see, this is not court. This is the court of public opinion. And unfortunately, you all listen to a lot of people that you don't require to authenticate what they're telling you. And that's why so many of them are able to lie to you. They're able to lie to you because you don't make them authenticated. Where is your evidence? Where is this coming from? Is this just your opinion? Is this just something you're saying? Where does this come from? Could you show me your sites? Could you show me your sources? What are your citations? You don't do that to a lot of these folks who are lying to you in your face. And as a result, you're easily misled. We got to stop that. That kind of promotion of ignorance is costing us big time. Big time. It's costing us precious civil rights. It's costing us economics. It's costing us financially. It's costing us in so many ways. And a lot of these people know they can just tell you anything because you're not going to make them authenticate what they're saying. We got to stop it. 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 We got to start making these folks do right. And you got to stop allowing these people to say anything to you and you don't fact check it. If they won't authenticate it, you go authenticate it. All right. I am Reverend and Civil Rights Attorney Augustus Corbett. Thank you for watching this video. And remember, no matter what they tell you, stay woke.